and then I'm tracking it on my phone. So should there be questions, I will be able to check on my phone what's going on. So let's just see if it's up.
Okay.
Technology is fun when it wants to be fun. Yes, now we are streaming live. Can you still hear?
Yes, I hear
you. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Evan Couch with myself, Mbali, a dietitian. I'm here. I'm not flying solo today. I never fly solo, but I'm joined by a special guest. I love her to bits. And I'm just gonna, I think the first thing is just to say, welcome, Retha.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure and honor. And I think in the tradition of the Evan Couch, we have a game that we play at the beginning. It's a two truths and one lie. So you tell me 3 statements, 2 of them which are true, and then one should be a lie. I mean, I think you can make it nutrition or food related, and I tell you which one is a lie.
Okay.
I always mess up this game, and I think I'm a sucker for pain. I always want to play it and I will mess it up. So let's see.
Okay. So I was actually not thinking anything nutrition related, but
go for it. However way.
Okay.
I'm happy with it.
So the one thing that I'm going to name 3 things, and then you will have to be the one that estimates whether it's right or wrong. Okay, so the first one was that I was an athlete at school, and I was actually the Victrix Sladorum of my school in primary school. Other one is that I really like raisins. And then the other one is that this is a bit nutrition related, but I really love coffee. So which one do you think is a lie?
I couldn't read your face there, you know. I couldn't read your face. You're not giving me a lot to work with. I think the fact that you love raisins, that's a lie.
Yeah, you're right. I don't like raisins at all. I hate them.
What happened, Shame? Why do you hate raisins?
My dad used to tell us that in the rum and raisin ice cream, that the raisins are flies. So then they just gross me out so much, and now I still don't like their taste, even to this day.
Oh no! Oh shame, poor raisins. But I'm happy that I got this one right. Yay!
Well done.
I can see already here online. We've got a couple of people on Facebook, and I see Azi. Azi is a dietitian, a newly qualified dietitian. She's currently in ComServe. And she's saying she is looking forward to our conversation today. So, yeah,
wonderful.
No pressure, Azi, no pressure.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read Retha's bio for everyone. So Retha Harmse is a driven and passionate dietitian with a desire to improve health and wellness as a dietitian. She sees wellness not only as a healthy weight or disease-free life, but rather as a life in abundance in all aspects of person's being. She serves as an association on the Association of Dietetics in South Africa, which is ADSA, as an executive committee member on the public relations portfolio, as well as an ADSA spokesperson. This has given her a platform on radio, television, and printed media, of which she loves every second of. She has a private practice in Saxonwold, Johannesburg, and has a special interest in mindful and intuitive eating, weight management, diabetes, and many more. Retha also runs a psychiatry group session daily at the Day Clinic, which is an inpatient psychiatric day program, which is focused on brain-gut axis and putting the joy back in eating. She also runs a plant-based cafe in the Day Clinic, and is also the author of 2 e-recipe books that was launched in 2018. And during the second one during the 2020 lockdown. In clinical dietetics, Retha is part of the multidisciplinary team as a locum dietitian at Wits Donald Gordon, especially in the Transplant ICU, where she oversees the nutritional care of patients both pre and post-transplant. In addition to this, she's also a consultant dietitian in which she provides either wellness days, health presentation, recipe demonstrations, or whichever corporate offerings the company might need. So ladies and gentlemen, Retha.
Thank you so much.
I love your bio. And not mainly because obviously of your accolades and what you've done. That is obvious. But I love how you've written it. It's so wholesome, and it, reading it, I can somehow just draw this positive energy from it, and somehow, if I never knew you, I will just picture this person who's calm and it's gonna just heal me. So I love it. I love it. I read, like, the first time you sent it to me and I read it, I was like, oh my goodness, such an amazing put together bio.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it so much.
You've been to, I think one thing we share is the love of Tanzania. You went to Tanzania last year. Tell me about that.
Yes. Yeah, so we went to Tanzania on a church outreach, and actually the little town where we went to, it is so small that not even Google knew where it was. But we know that Google listens to us, so maybe now if we Google it, we'll find it. But it's a little town called Chipuguru. But obviously we went with a church that's based in Dar es Salaam, so City Harvest Church. And I made so many friends. I cried when I had to leave. It was a week, but I felt like I knew them so deeply, and it was just an amazing experience. So, and just the vibe of the country and how friendly the people were. So I really love Tanzania, and that's when I saw at the bottom of your email when you said Asante Sana, thank you very much. Then I'm like, hey, Swahili, I love it. Marafiki.
Yeah. I also went to Tanzania last year in November. I was in Dar es Salaam, and I was there for a workshop training kind of year-end conference. I stayed in this beautiful resort, and literally, I mean, you walk out of the back of the resort and walk straight into the beach, and then so we'll hop on like a fish boat to go to the island every day. But not only that scenery, I think that just the Tanzanian people are so warm and just get along with everyone. I was there for I think 4 days in my case, but again, after the trip, I was in tears because I was like, I don't want to leave.
Yeah, no shame. So and that was the friends that I made there. But even it was very funny. We went to go to the beach one day and swam in the sea. And when I got out, it was very funny. These people just started taking photos with me, and like it's like that time when you really don't feel pretty, when you're in your costume and like hair and everything not looking good. And then my friends joked with me, and then they said I was the whitest Mzungu that they've ever seen in their life, and they had to take a photo with me because I'm like really pale, and I made peace with that. I don't sunbathe. I put on my 50 SPF. So that was quite funny as well. So
I'm sure you were like, oh my goodness, all I want to do is just to dry my hair. And just like put on something and be off this bikini, and then you can take a picture.
So Shanda was very funny.
Oh my gosh. How about the food culture? How did you find the food there? Did you have like a favorite dish that you can remember from your trip?
Yes, no, so I really loved, they have a very interesting way with yams and with the plantains, and I enjoyed that so much. I also had like peanuts still in their shells. I actually think there's a photo of that on my Facebook, and that I loaded up, that I'm like, this is my snack for today. It was like such a delicious, and everyone is so freely sharing and what do you call it? I'm only thinking of the Afrikaans word met mededelsam, like really want to share, generous, sharing all their foods. And there was this one dish, I really can't place my finger on what it was that was in it, but it was a very flavorsome, ranging on the side of spicy because I really like spicy foods. And it was, but a more vegetarian, vegetable type of dish, but it was at every meal. And I remember that was like my go-to. So delicious foods, very, if I have to put it on a scale of plant-based, very plant-based, and very delicious. So that was my favorites when I was there.
Oh, I'm sure that you had not had peanuts while they are still in their shells here in South Africa. I'm not shocked, but I'm just like, it's very common, you know, when you go up north, driving up north, it's very common, So when you're driving up to Polokwane around there, so on the toll gates, while you are waiting there, they will be selling in plastic bags peanuts while still in their shell.
Wonderful. No, I have to say I'm not that familiar with Limpopo and like the northern province. I'm usually just Gauteng, Northwest, and then don't know that area so well. So I'll definitely be on the lookout.
I'll take you there sometime because my husband is from there. And of course, such beautiful spots, you know, and anyway, but we were just talking about the Tanzanian food culture. And I'm just, you know, whoever is now joining in, because Retha had been to Tanzania. I also went to Tanzania. I lived on fish for breakfast, lunch, and supper for 4 days straight because I just couldn't put down that fish. Like, it was so delicious. All I wanted was fish. And at some point I said, you know, I feel guilty now. I haven't had a veg in 2 days. And I said to them, they must make me a green salad at the hotel there. And they brought a salad, but just maybe 1 leaf of lettuce and maybe like 7 tomatoes sliced up on top of that 1 leaf of lettuce. That's it. Here's your salad. I was like, okay, I think I'm going to stick to fish, but I like their simplicity, you know. Tanzanian food is not complex and complicated. I've got simple flavors, delicious, and more plant-based a lot. Like I saw a lot of dishes, as you were saying, that are very much, you know, either beets, your yams or whatever root vegetable, but yeah, quite cool. Now, your practice, right, the name of your practice. Firstly, can you just spell it out, like say it for me and pronounce it, because I don't want to butcher it. And then tell us, where does it come from? Because I know the story because I've listened to you share the story, but I think everyone else on Facebook will appreciate to listen to where does your practice name come from?
Yeah, so that's why it's EBS Dietitians. It's Nbon Sante, but it's spelled Nbone Sante. And Nbon Sante means in good health in French. And I always start the story by, there was a study done that when they looked at people's perspective on foods, and they actually showed different words. So if you think about fancy car, then you would say Ferrari. If you thought about beautiful handbag, then you would say Gucci, or whichever association you had in your head. And then they showed the term chocolate cake to individuals, where the Americans said guilt, the French said celebration. And I loved it so much that people can, with being intuitive, with being mindful, and realizing that everything is allowed in moderation, still look at the part of chocolate cake being a celebration, but still with health being at the forefront, having a healthy relationship with food and with yourself. And then ultimately, that's why I decided, let me go the French route. So En Bonne Santé, for me, I let people embrace, if you tell me that bananas are the highlight of your life, I'll make sure that your diet will contain bananas. So for me, it's not about deprivation and about restriction. It's about how you can include these things that you love in your daily diet. And that's why I chose En Bonne Santé. So I know your people can't say it. And I often thought, did I make a mistake by choosing this name? But for me, I love the idea behind it, and I'd rather use that to explain my train of thought than just go with something generic that I don't believe in. So yeah, that's my practice name, and that's why it's EBS Dietitians.
Mm. Oh wow! That, you know, the biggest thing about what you're saying that is just highlighted a lot in my mind is the fact that people do not have to stop enjoying life.
Yes.
You know, in pursuit of good health. People do not, I mean, when they think of chocolate cake, celebration, because food is part of our lives. And food, as much as it holds this important nutritional value, it has also to hold this, you know, social value. And we need to embrace that and be happy and be cool with that and say it is life, it is food. I like that. So I thought, I mean, everybody else needs to hear this story, because the first time I was in your Instagram live and I heard you share that, I was like, my goodness, you know, it's just makes your practice be more holistic and, you know, more accommodating, if I can put it like that.
Yeah.
Now, your handle says dietitian, and I think let's address that elephant in the room here, that your handle says dietitian with the CI. You had, again, on the same live, you had an explanation for that. And I think I also enjoyed that explanation. And that's why I want us to talk about that. Why use that handle? And what is the right pronunciation for, or like the way of writing dietitians that is right?
Yeah, so that's why, especially on that Insta Live, I thought, let me just clear the air for any dietitian that wants to tell me, why did you do this? Okay, so for all the non-dietitians, dietitian is actually spelled with a T. So Dietitian. Sure, feel like I'm in a spelling bee, but
sorry.
The second T is second T in dietitian is the one that I actually spelled with a C. And this is purely from a perspective that if someone typed in dietitian in Google, which the way that people usually write a dietitian with a C and correcting, I actually don't know which word corrected as a C. Yeah, you know, the language, if it's UK or US English, but I know that one of them corrects it to a C, and then it seems like you're incorrect. Yeah. So that was purely from a SEO perspective, search engine optimization, and also from someone that's going to search on Google for them to be able to get me at the top. So that's why I chose dietitian with a C, but I do know that it's actually spelled with a T, and that's why I cleared the air. But I'm glad that you're giving me another opportunity, Mbali, to clear the air once again.
100%. And those who know me, like, let's say I'm on radio or TV, I'll be like, it's not T-I, it's not T-I-C-I-A, and it's T-I-T-I, like, make sure. But I think, you know, easily we get so carried away in that, and you were able to pick on that and say, most people still go and on the internet and search it as the T-I-C-I-A-N, the dietitian, that way. And it's such a business and a more savvy way of looking at it, because it is not, you know, it's a handle, or how your practice is going to be searched, wherever it's going to be searched. So I think I'm happy with it, because it just makes sense. And when you explained it, and I had not paid attention to the fact that you had used the C. So when you explained it, I was like, oh, clever woman, why didn't I think of that before she did? You, when I was reading your bio, you serve on the ATSA committee, the executive committee, and you hold the public relations portfolio. So let's talk about that a little bit. What is your role as in that portfolio? But also, often, I mean, I try to ask every dietitian I chat to about the importance of other dietitians to be members of ATSA. And so I want you to also, you know, sell it to them, why is this important and what benefit or value does it add in a dietitian's life?
So I'm very passionate about ATSA. I think I was one of the students when we were still at university that just wanted to do everything dietetics. So I was actually on our, you call it academic social council at university. It's called Viviente at Northwest University. So if anyone is listening, Viviente, I was on the committee, and I was the chairperson in my third year. And I remember after then thinking one day when I'm like big and like have conquered the world, then I will be on ATSA. And it happened much earlier than I actually expected. But the benefit about that is you're in, like, I don't know if the ATSA members can actually comment on this, but yeah, on the ATSA closed group where it's only for the members, everyone just helps one another. So you ask their guys, I want to do a course on this, and then everyone just gives resources. So it's like a tight-knit community where everyone gives advice and supports one another. And it can sometimes feel like you're completely alone when you in your ComServe and you're perhaps the only dietitian at the hospital, or if you have a interest in a specific area and the person that's your superior doesn't have an interest there, then you don't know where to go. Where with ATSA, you have that support group. It's also the thing of up-to-date knowledge. Whenever there's something that comes out, we put it in the mailer, we put it on the ATSA closed group. And besides that, it's also the benefit that being an ATSA member, there's so many things that people don't know that we do behind the scenes. But like, for instance, the sugar tax, we gave advice on that. With the new nutritional professional, we had an opportunity to comment on the new name. So many things that we do at the backgrounds that people don't realize. And for instance, like the billing with medical aids, going to fight on your behalf. So this is basically like being the big sister in dietetics and fighting for the other people and fighting for the other dietitians that perhaps don't know even that it's going on. And I say big sister, but I know that I'm actually the small sister that was lucky that got in, but loving every moment. And what my role is on the committee, it was actually so interesting when I had the chat with Abby, that was in public relations before me. And then she said, you have to like share content and like administer the Facebook group and do this and share that and speak and be on the meeting with Department of Health for National Nutrition Week. And I thought, like, these are all the things that I like doing anyway. So that's one of the things I saw. One of your questions a bit lower in the in our interview today was advice that I can give to other dietitians, and it's that thing to find the place that the little thing that makes you unique, that doesn't seem like it fits in with dietetics, but to use that. So for instance, for me, I love speaking and I like it if people listen. So that's why I became an ATSA spokesperson.
And we are here for that today. All of us, we are here to listen.
So for me, it's that thing. What do you enjoy? If you enjoy writing, start to become one of the ATSA blog writers. That's actually an initiative that's still yet to be launched, but that's one of the aspects that I'm trying to incorporate, so that the things the small talent that you think, oh, how does that fit in? I remember as a child, we did a tour of the SABC, and I walked there and I thought, one day I will be here. One day I'll be here on TV. And I remember then I started to study dietetics, and how on earth will I be on TV as a dietitian? And it came so full circle. When I walked there, I completely forgot about that dream. But when I walked the corridors of the SABC, then I'm like, now I'm here. Now I'm actually gonna be on the show where I always thought I want to do this. So don't let the dreams that you thought, when I got to a space where you become an adult and you finished ComServe and you don't know what you're going to do thereafter, that thing of like thinking, oh, maybe everyone just has dreams, but it's something that you only give to children to keep them motivated to keep going. But no, still pursue your dreams even now, even if you don't see how they're going to happen, do it. And that's what ADSA tries to give you the platform to be the best dietitian you can, and for us to be your cheerleaders along the way.
Sure. I like the dream part, I'm sure you were like, this is so surreal. I'm living my dream right now, because I often see that we think dreams are only about these, unattainable. I only dream of being a millionaire. So until I become a millionaire, I'm not living my dreams. But small things like that you went as a younger person into the SAPs or the studios, and then now you're not even, where you might think, I want to be there, but you're like, I'm living this is my dream. I'm here. I'm not going to be on TV.
Yeah. I remember I always wanted to live in Joburg. So I even don't want to say this out loud, but I thought that I didn't want to study dietetics, because then I knew I need to study at home. My parents stayed in Potch, so I knew if I decided to study dietetics that I had to study there. And ultimately, one day I was driving still in my little Ford Figo and realizing I'm living in Joburg. I'm an adult living in Joburg. And it was such a surreal moment for me. And even that. So I agree with you fully. Don't think I want to have the 5 million rand mansion. Just think to yourself, look at my nice kitchen. Even if it's a 1-bedroom or bachelor flat, if you have a nice kitchen, embrace it, love it, and know that you're living your dream in that moment. So, yeah.
Sure. I love that. I remember my moment, I think the surreal moment in terms of relating to what you're saying about living in Joburg. I was a rep, and I was driving in it was not too shabby. It was a Jetta, and a beautiful car. And so I'm driving from Joburg on the M1, just before you reach Kilani Mall. As you look there on the far left, you see the skyline of Sandton, Rosebank, Sandton, and it looks so beautiful. And it was during the Jacaranda season. So you can imagine your area, your Saxonwold, your Rosebank is all purple and stunning. And I took a glimpse on my left corner eye, and I saw I saw the Sandton area, and I'm like, girl, you've made it. You're I was like, I've arrived. And at that time, I didn't even know how to drive the Jetta. It would just, want to stop in the middle of the highway. But I was like, I don't care. Let's do this. It's so funny. So it seems like you enjoy media. And media being radio, TV, print media. For me, I come alive. When I'm on radio, when I'm on TV, I come alive. I'm like, in my language, Retha, we say, we are within. So all of us, we've got our favorite moments. I like every opportunity to be on radio as a dietitian, or be on TV, or be printed is a big one, because we are able to share scientific information. And there's a lot of noise that is going on out there. So if you're able to see a dietitian, consider yourself very lucky, because the gems that are going to come out of her mouth during that interview are real science. I have a favorite show that I have, 1 or 2 shows where I say, I nailed that one. I really was impressed with how everything, we know when things just come together very well. Do you have such a show? And when was it? Where was it? I'm going to do a disclaimer. All the shows we've done, we love them. All the producers that have reached out, we love them. But what was that moment for you, and that you can share with us?
So I have to say, exactly on that point, for me, it was an interview that I did on ENCA, and it was very funny. It was on binge eating, but they sold it like it was binge eating disorder. And when I got there, I was prepared. For me, I never prepare the sentences that I'm going to say that sounds like very rehearsed. I would never say binge eating disorder is blah, 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 blah. I think, and just like I'm speaking to you now, I would chat on the radio and on the TV. And what happened was they didn't mean like binge eating disorder. They meant people eating too much over December and like the lifestyle changes when you start in January. And I was sitting there and I was so ready to start chatting. And when he started the interview and asked the question, then I realized this is not at all what I thought it was. But I was so thankful then for all the times that people ask me, what do I do if I gain too much weight over the December holiday? Because then you've had that answer rehearsed in your head so well. You know how to say it, that it comes across natural. So what happened then, and this is a telltale sign if you've ever seen me speak on TV or on the radio, if I'm saying, you know what, that is an excellent question. Because
you're thinking?
buying time in my head to get my words ready. What am I going to say? And I remember I walked out and I always either phoned my mom or my husband, but I knew that my husband was in a meeting then. So I phoned my mom and I'm like, how was it? And then she was like, it was great. You looked so pretty, because they always do your makeup so nicely. I can actually, that makeup can compare to my wedding makeup almost. Yeah. And then I said, because that was not at all what I was prepared for. And then she's like, no, we couldn't see that at all. And it was one of those where I'm like, thank goodness that I know what I'm talking about. Thank goodness that, as you said, that we speak about evidence-based information. And that's so important. That's especially in that space that I want to encourage other dietitians listening now. Don't doubt in your abilities to give information. We sometimes underestimate the value that our knowledge has. So if you share it, that's a gem. But also know your worth. So I've decided I'm not sharing again around the braaivleis vier. So I'm not going to share when we just have if someone just wants to chat. So
no.
Immediately in that space, they don't take you as seriously and don't know how valuable the knowledge is that you are giving. So I wouldn't like ignore them. I would like give a small bit of information, but then say, but read here, or listen to this, or read my post, or come see me for a consultation. So just motivation for the dietitians out there, know your worth and share it, but share evidence-based. So
100%. I like that, because I remember when I was, still newly qualified at family gatherings, at funerals, everyone will ask me, and I wanna correct them. No, it's not this. No, it's not that. But I like what you're saying. You need to know your worth, and as soon as you know your worth, you're comfortable and know that I know this stuff. We are trained for 4 years minimum. At the university, we know nutrition in and out. We can recite a Krebs cycle like no one, no other person.
You can, but I'll write on your Krebs cycle. I know it, but I can't recite.
Come on, girl, let's recite the Krebs cycle. But the Krebs cycle is one of those things that we've learned, and from that we're able to do it, the practical aspects of that. Yeah. So I love what you're saying. And I see on Facebook, people are there. I see dietitians. I see Nikki. Nikki is from Rosebank Clinic. She's a dietitian there, clinical dietitian there. Az is still with us. She's like enjoying the conversation, and everybody else seems to be enjoying this conversation. So it's going well.
Thank you.
I didn't ask you about binge eating, and then tell you, and then when you're realizing, oh no, it's not binge eating as in that binge eating.
Yeah.
You work in corporate as a a dietitian consultant, and I worked in corporate for it's a wellness day stand, which I hate. I hate standing there for the whole day, because
Feels
honestly,
like the bright place fee, right?
it's just all like when I'm standing there, I just feel like people come and they look at me and be like, what can I eat to lose weight? And they
I
become
know.
so, yeah, and it becomes so arrogant about it. Or the worst is where a group of women will come stand by your table, chatting about whatever that they are chatting about. And then maybe they will say, let's go to her. And then they will say, no, I don't need a dietitian, I don't need to lose weight. As soon as I hear that, I lose it. I'll be like, I'm not here for weight loss. I'm not here
That's not
for
what I
it.
do.
That's not
Yeah.
what I actually I don't like weight loss. I'm for health. But in your case, why do you think it's important for corporate companies, firstly, to have dietitians be involved in their employee wellness programs? I'm not talking about calling us once a year to come to a table, but I'm talking about as much as corporate companies value financial advisors and psychology or social work, um, why do you think it's important for us to be there? And how can we be there? How can we take up that space?
So I am very passionate about this because it's if people think about they look at the deliverables and they look at this is what we need. So we need extra productivity, we need this, we need that. It's ultimately your person, your employee needs to be healthy. The moment when they're healthy, you guys know how difficult it is to concentrate if you're hungry. Now, similarly, if you have that hidden hunger, so you're eating enough, but you're not getting enough micronutrients, you don't get all the essential fatty acids that you need, etc., etc. What happens then is you constantly feel hungry, and ultimately you're not concentrating as well. You might have more sick days. And if we think about long term, if you really care about someone, you care about their health. So if you care about your employees, what it comes down to is you need to make sure, because think about, like, for instance, hypertension being called the silent killer. People don't know that they have it until it's like almost too late. So that's why I really enjoy doing a screening and saying, you know what, maybe we should look at this. And sometimes you realize that people really just don't know. So, for instance, exactly on that point that you raised, Mbali, it's not about weight loss. It's not about I'm thin, I don't need to see a dietitian, because I can tell you that the thinnest people that I've seen are the most unhealthy ones, in certain cases. So it's worthwhile thinking, what is it that I'm doing? And am I really looking after the long-term health of my employees? And besides that, just thinking about people want to be healthy, but they don't know how to. So I actually have such a pet peeve in being called for biggest loser competitions, because ultimately it's not about what you lose, but about the life that you gain.
Oh,
I've seen people that come back that tell me, I've never slept so well in my life. For the first time, I don't have joint pains, this and this and that. And then you realize if we think about weight, and that's exactly why I always say for me, wellness and health isn't just the correct number on the scale or the absence of disease. It is abundance in a person's life in all the aspects of their life. So if I am able to, on the number 99, decide, okay, we're going to do a hike for 3 days, and I know that I'm strong enough and I can do it, that for me is life in abundance. So that's where it comes in. It's different for everyone. For me, it's not necessarily to look the best in a bikini, but it's to be able to go to the Drakensberg and realize that I'm fine and I'm still going to do well. So immediately, if you want that life in abundance for your employees, if you want your company to thrive and just to have a healthy work culture, both physical health, but also, and this is something that I've alluded to earlier in the talk, is to have that good relationship with food as well. So immediately, that is the part that I love about being a consultant dietitian and going to corporate companies. And then also in other aspects that we give advice, it's that fact of I worked for a vitamin company where it was a bit of insight in the formulations and on the labeling and those type of things that we just know we have very valuable knowledge, and people know that, no, ask the dietitian about that. So they know that there are certain things, but they first have to, it's like that thing when I got a new car. And I didn't want to have a new car. I cried when my previous car was sold. But you don't know what you're missing until you have it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
amazing. Like now I can listen to my audiobooks. Power steering, that's wonderful. Automatic, that's the best. But you don't know what you're missing if you don't have it. And that's what I think corporate companies don't realize. If you don't have a dietitian that gives advice and that tells you about your formulations, that helps your cafeteria, alter their recipes, those type of things, you won't know what you're missing. And the moment when you have it, you wouldn't want to go back. So that is the biggest advice that I can give based on a consultant position.
My goodness. One of the things that I don't want to forget, and I want to emphasize on it, it is not about what you lose, as individuals now. It's not about what you lose, but about the life you gain. So I think if we can individually, when we look into weight loss, if we can always remember that, I can really attest to what Retha is saying about just, you lose weight, and then I'll have clients tell me, oh, like this morning, I had a client tell me my back pain is better. And when you look into the scale, obviously he's losing weight, but I just like the fact that he's not fascinated so much about now the number on the scale, but that word, my back pains are better. And I do this with my male clients as well. So they'll come to me and say, my shirts are not fitting and they're expensive shirts. And I say, okay, let's hang them there, and then we'll keep on revisiting them if that's where you want to fit. And definitely then they fit on their shirts and be like, oh, I now fit on my shirt. But also the role dietitians, you don't know what you're missing in corporate until you've got it. I mean, you loved your car, but I like that analogy 100%. Until you've got power steering and you're like, oh, okay, I don't have to like.
Yeah, it's not an arm workout anymore.
No. You touched a bit about your involvement in a vitamins, company, and I'm calling them vitamins, but it could be any health supplement. And I'm also a consultant dietitian for a health supplement company, and I've been them for a while now. I think almost 3 years. And it's exactly that they didn't know what they were missing, but as soon as they had me, and now they don't want to let me go, they're like, we need you, we can't. And all the queries that I get to handle on a day-to-day basis, and product training that I need to do, because at the end of the day, dietitians, I believe, they need to be able to first be involved, as we are saying, in formulations, product developments, but also just, to get the right product information out there, because you are helping people unlearn the fact that health supplements are medication, but to re-educate them in a sense that health supplements are there to supplement a diet. It's food first and then health supplements. So I've been involved in a lot of that. And at the beginning, I had a lot of pushback from the customers from this particular company, because they were like, why are you changing us? We always knew that the products from this company, they can heal everything. And I was explaining, no. They are not there to cure anything, but to supplement your diet. We need to first make sure we're getting majority of the nutrients from food. And I think now that everybody's, the company was so sold on that from beginning, but the consumers were not so much. But with more enlightenment and sharing and science and stuff, I can safely say now, 3 years later, they are more receptive and accepting the fact that I know about the nutrition. So I want you to also tell us a little bit about that. I mean, looking specifically into the vitamins involvement, what is your role there, and how has been when you're working with the company in terms of consumer? Do they believe you straight away, or you have to sort of work your way and get them to believe in you?
So I have to say, and that's a part where I actually I hired bit behind the title, if I can call it that. So I would say, this is what it does. And I was quite a nerd at university in terms of, I took a gap year and was very anxious that everyone says if you take a gap year, then you become lazy and you're gonna like fall out and whatever. So I studied very hard, and I studied in order to remember those things even now. So sometimes I would like, it's very funny, I literally just before I took out my little Krauser, and I was busy reading something up.
I was gonna reach for mine, but it's fair enough.
But it's immediately that thing that I would go down onto the cellular level and say, this is how this and this works. So I'm not as good as you knowing the whole Krebs cycle, but I would go down to the cellular level and say, this is why soluble fiber helps to reduce your cholesterol. And to give that advice in that sense. And luckily, I think it's also a blessing to work with people that already want to know the information. So I was lucky enough that I worked with clients that were already on the books, and for them to already believe it. And the thing is, I think it's that thing that the moment when you understand the role of something, for instance, if I think that conditioner alone needs to feed my hair, but I don't realize, okay, but it's actually what I put in my body also that makes the difference. That's the one thing my hairdresser always says, that he loves it that I look after my hair so beautifully, but it's one of those things, it comes from the inside. So you can drink all the collagen in the world that you want to, but you're not going to improve your wrinkles if you smoke. And also, wrinkles are a natural sign of aging. So there's so many things that I always think people really want to move against, but the answer isn't the outside, it comes from the inside. So immediately, the space for me would always be, and that's, I love the quote from Albert Einstein that says, if you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it well enough. So I would always bring it down very, very simple. And ultimately, that's what makes the difference. Same as you said with dietitian, we can either have a fight about it being a T or a C, or we can actually focus that attention to teach our patients, to teach the public. And for me, it's not necessarily for them to see how smart I am, but how to explain something very simply for them to actually understand and be able to incorporate that into their life. And that is how I approached it. You get those people that don't want to understand. And then ultimately, that's why I also pick my battles. So the ones that they will literally tell you, but I use this powder, but I do that, but I do that. And then I'm like, go ahead, Susan, that's fine. So,
oh my goodness, go ahead, that's fine. I like what you said about collagen, and it's a buzzword. It's a buzzword everywhere.
Yes.
And just the other day, I was sitting with my he's involved in formulations, so he does formulations and he sources raw materials for health supplements. So they know like the strength of certain formulations and stuff. So he was talking particularly about collagen, and he says to me, people don't get it, that when you drink collagen, it's not to say that, let's say you're buying collagen, let's say I go buy it because I want to fix my hair. It's not that now when I drink it, that glass of collagen is going to go to my hair, because collagen is a protein that, is for the skin, it's for the hair, it's for the nails, it's for whatever and whatever. And that glass could be going to your nails. And because you intentionally from beginning didn't want it for the nails, you wanted it for the hair, you're going to say it's not working. But it's not that it's not working. It's because it's not like it's going to target your hair and say, oh, she's just for hair, let's quickly run to the hair. And now I like what you're saying. It's about the overall of what we are putting in, in terms of nutrition that manifests in your hair, manifests in your face, manifests in your eyes. And that is the most important thing. So I also wanted us to look into a little bit further on the vitamins, in a sense of, now when you are So definitely we are agreeing that there's value that dietitians add in being part of the companies that make vitamins and whatever supplements that they're making. And do you think that also we as dietitians have a role to educate the public? I mean, we are not saying supplements people should not take them, but we want to continuously educate about the dangers of just grabbing whatever, because the rest of the society is saying you must just drink and take whatever. Like recently there is a list of supplements that are circulating, and that list is written COVID-19 supplements, and part of that list is zinc, and it says that you must take 200 milligrams of zinc a day. And I was like, so do you think that it's important for us to always make sure we are out there for that?
I definitely agree. I think it's one of those things that I would sometimes look at what it is that people are saying and use that exact hashtags on their post and make something evidence-based based on that post. So that's the thing, that if people ask, but what about influencers doing this? I'm not a keyboard warrior. I'm not going to say, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to do that. So that's the advice for other dietitians. But be out there and educate people and tell them that this is what the difference that this makes. Tell them the dangers. Like literally, if you take too much water, fat-soluble vitamins, you can actually literally turn orange from the amount of carrots. So
exactly. I hope everyone is listening.
So if you ever wanted to have a permanent bad self-tan, do that. But no, it's not good. The other thing is ultimately to realize that it's a wonderful quote, but I'm like gonna butcher it so bad. That comes down to, it's more than the whole is more than the sum of its parts. So it's not, oh my goodness, turmeric has these many health benefits. Then I saw a post about a year ago from a lady that did a turmeric drip and that almost passed away. And then it's like, turmeric isn't supposed to go into the bloodstream. And on that point, it's exactly with vitamin drips. You don't know what's the underlying deficiencies. It's very easy to step on a scale and see a number. But I don't even know, like, I'm a very white person, but maybe I have anemia. So I don't know if that might be something. And then the underlying cellular level things that you don't know puts you at risk if you do a generalized therapy. So you can't just say, oh, this friend of mine took this supplement and now she doesn't have muscle pain anymore. Remember, all these signs that we experience is trying to communicate something. So if I'm pale and I do have anemia, maybe I have a deficiency in iron, vitamin B12, or folic acid, because there are more than one type of anemia. People always think it's iron, then they take mega doses of iron, then they're constipated. So another thing that I always highlight is, for every action, there's a reaction. So the reason why something works wonderfully means that it's going to have a reaction somewhere else as well. So be careful of what you put in your body. And then it's that thing where people say, oh, but I don't care. I just want to lose weight now for the wedding that I have in 2 weeks. And then I say, you don't know, health is one of those things, you don't know what it's worth until you lose it. So don't take the chance. Don't take the random supplement just because your friend sells it. And because don't buy into a multi-level marketing scheme because you want to make money now. Health should always be at the forefront of your mind. And it's one of those things that ultimately we underestimate the value if it's something that you've always had. And as I said, until you don't have it anymore, then it's too late. We as dietitians can help you, but then you are forced to come to us, where in the beginning it would have been a lifestyle change that it could have diverted. It's like one of those things, if you make an accident, yes, your insurance will pay, but how much nicer would it have been to not be in the accident in the first place? So that's the gist of it.
You know why I'm laughing? Your analogies or like examples, I wouldn't picture you to have so much sarcasm. Like it's cute. And And it's true and relatable, because all the things that you are saying now are 100% true. And so the company that I consult for, they're in direct selling, meaning that it's one of those, you know, ways of making income. You call somebody, they call somebody, so it has a business level to it. So many of the direct selling companies that are in health supplements, they compromise the product and pay attention to the business and that type of businessy part of the business. And I truly believe that it's important. People need to make money. But the companies that are in direct selling, if there are health supplements involved or vitamins involved, they should not compromise vitamins, because people will have long-term, you know, effects of whatever that they were using. And I like what you're saying. You don't know the importance of something. So your health, yes, we know it's important, but you don't really know it until you lose it. And then you're gonna be like, oh, oopsie, a lot of things now have happened. So I always commend and admire this company, because I feel like more and more companies, especially on the direct selling, need to really put dietitians on board. And dietitians have a crucial, most important value to add in the product side, because we are able to sit there and be like, no. If that product has so much vitamin A, for example, as you were saying, it's a fat soluble vitamin, and the body is unable to excrete it as it would the water soluble vitamin. So do not overdose it. You need to really control it. And messages like, you know, people that will talk amongst themselves, how many are you taking? I'm taking 4. And when you look into the product, you are thinking, my goodness, we are exceeding. We are full on exceeding, and that's going to cause vitamin toxicity. And because our people are not being, they don't have sufficient knowledge. You know, little knowledge is very dangerous, because you know little, and now you're spreading that little knowledge. And as it gets spread out, it becomes even much more little, and it just becomes a mess.
But then you don't know how much you don't know.
You don't know how much you don't know. So really, I can't stress that enough. I mean, this is for anyone listening, be it they are using health supplement, especially if they're on a direct selling platform, you need to, and most people, you know what they say, they will just say, no, there is a medical doctor. How do you know? What do you know about nutrition? You don't even have a doctor title next to your name. And I will always say, it doesn't matter how much a person is educated. You could be a professor in philosophy or politics or whatever the profession it is. Unless you are a doctor or a professor in dietetics, for me, you don't know anything about dietetics or nutrition as much as a person who's got just an honors degree in dietetics. You know much less than that. You know what I knew when I was going to first year of university. And that actually then shows that obviously the more we study as dietitians in the field of dietetics, then the more we get, the accolades and get to be more invested in that. But as with your honors, you already know more than professors that are not in the dietetics field, because it is a unique and a specialized field. We know much more. So most consumers, they just see or hear, and they tell us, or they will tell me that, but in the board, there is doctors of this company, in this company, so they don't need you. And I'll always say, unless they are doctors and professors in the field of dietetics, to me, they know nothing about nutrition. So this conversation, I don't want it to end, because I mean, there's a lot of wisdom and the simplicity that you're bringing to the table that I'm really enjoying here. But right now we are facing a problem. I think as dietitians, we always face the problem of unemployment. But I guess with the pandemic, it's even much worse. I've had dietitians reach out to me and say that they're losing motivation, and I guess everyone is becoming demotivated. And you've been sharing tips as we were going. But what are some of other things that you can share? I mean, you spoke about the fact that you need to I want to remember it correctly, but you were speaking about finding something that makes you come alive. And that's something it can be as small as, you don't have to wait for big things. And we were talking about media and stuff like that. What other things that you would like to share with dietitians that are out there?
So the one thing that I always say is don't underestimate which people are looking and which people are speaking about you, because it's one thing to always put your right foot forward, and like for instance, I was approached to speak at an event, and then they said, this guy said you are the only person that we should ask, and then I'm like, I don't even remember that person. So remember that how you make people feel is what they will remember when they leave with you. So you can be the best dietitian, but if you love people, that's what they will be left with. And that will also, if you really love people, then you will aim to be a better dietitian for them. So do that. Also, don't be afraid to start at the bottom. So for instance, this vitamin company that I worked for, I worked in their call center. That's how I started there.
Oh, wow.
And so ultimately, I worked for a while in private practice, but couldn't make ends meet. And then I went to them, worked in their call center until I worked myself up, and ultimately started my practice part-time. So decide what it is that you want to do, and remember, it's really not glamorous to say I worked in a call center. I had people screaming over the phone, put the phone down on me, and all of us know that you have true callers so that you know who not to answer. So I can see you listening to this Instagram talk and knowing this, but ultimately I was the person on the other side. So never be ashamed for where you came from, and do what you can with what you have. So ultimately, if you take a photo of every meal that you cook, ultimately you will become a better photographer. If you do, like, decide what it is that you want to do in terms of dietetics and do that. If you can cook really well, do recipe demonstrations. If you love babies, do talks for mothers that have babies. We have all this knowledge, and as Mbali said, you are more qualified than a specialized doctor in terms of nutrition. There are things that I've shared, then I think everyone knows this, and then they're like, you've just blown my mind. So share what you have to share. Find your niche. There's enough space for us all. I know that it always feels like it's a fight and you're overstepping. But for instance, if we think about the types I listen to, and this is how I actually started in media. I was driving and I heard someone speaking nonsense over the radio in terms of nutrition. And I emailed them and I said, you are speaking absolute nonsense. This is really not right. And that was literally the year post-ComServe. And then they asked me, what can you speak about? And then I'm like, let me tell you. So I have like literally a list of all the topics in nutrition. I started with A, so went to anemia, and I ended at Z. I think it was Zollinger-Ellison syndrome. So, but I told them I can speak about all of this. And then they're like, okay, wonderful, you have your own show. And then I'm like, what? So I had my own show for half an hour on a community radio station because I saw the gap, and I educated people there. And then ultimately they heard me on the radio and then wanted to come for a consultation. But you don't realize that people are hearing and that people are paying attention if you don't put yourself out there, and don't be shy. Don't feel that you are not enough. You are enough and you are where you need to be. And ultimately go for that dream, because you can make a difference. So do your best, and we are here to encourage you to be your cheerleaders along the way.
Big sister vibes. Oh my goodness. You not say that you started in the call center. My goodness. And you just started there and you worked your way up.
So you prove yourself. Sometimes you don't have another choice but to survive. And that's what makes you unique. And that's what makes you show that grit. Like, I love TED Talks. So whenever you're feeling down, you're feeling like you're losing motivation, just watch those TED Talks. Do your power stance and go out and conquer the world. But doesn't start that way for everyone. You don't start having a Porsche and having a fancy house and having the best practice. You start out like working at the bottom, and maybe I'll never have a Porsche, but I love my office and I love working with my patients, and that's okay. I love it just where I am now.
We never got the couch. You never shared the picture, or I missed the picture.
I'm sitting on my couch, so
it looks so beautiful. I mean, I don't see the color the feel, but I can see that it's quite pretty.
So the problem is my windows are here, so that's why you can't see it so well. So the photos that I took, you can't see it, that it's really like a beautiful velvet green. But you remind me, I'll take a photo and post it.
It's green.
Green,
it's
yes.
Green. Oh, green is my favorite color. So that's lovely. You spoke a lot of things now to the dietitians before I get you off track there with the couch. And one of the things that you said, don't be afraid to start at the bottom. But also, I will add to that, so don't be afraid to fall, dust yourself, and get up and try again. I personally, I think one day I will share a story, but I always say, I think I've got the most, most dramatic comeback story of all time, because I started at the bottom and then went and then fell face down. But to be able to dust yourself and say, you know what, they can laugh all they want, they can say, oh shame, look at her, all they want, but I'm gonna just stand up again and go. So do not be afraid to do all those things and start at the bottom. My goodness, Retha, it has been such an amazing conversation. And I think I shouldn't have said it's gonna be an hour. I should have said it's open-ended. We'll just talk.
Oh, Sharon, thank you so much. No, I enjoyed it as well. And if I didn't have patience, I would have loved to chat the whole day.
I just want to see what we have here on Facebook. So people were watching, and I've got a couple of thank you, and they've learned a lot. I've learned something from this, so it was very informative. You know why this is just a side note, why I send questions is because I just want to have a trail of thought myself. Not about you, it's about me.
That's always good.
I get carried away and start speaking about myself. But if I have questions, I know that, okay, it's going to be about my guest.
Oh, Shem, no, thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity of sharing with you. And it's great to have this wonderful community in dietetics. So, yeah, especially we need to stick together.
We do. I mean, especially in private practice, it can be quite lonely. Obviously, we meet each other at events, but you just never know what's going on out there. And even worse, for newly qualified dietitians, I mean, more so now during the pandemic, you don't get to have that physical contact with our colleagues. But now we know there are people like yourself who are out there, and there's AXA, and we spoke about that also. And I'm sure people can reach out, or other dietitians can reach out to you on social media should they want to conversate further and just get advice. But I'm definitely gonna keep this video on my Facebook page. I'm gonna share snippets of it on the Instagram, TV, and then the full video will be available on YouTube. And you can always listen to it and just share our wisdom here with our guest, the nuggets that she was dropping this afternoon. I can't thank you enough, but I think we've done a wonderful job for today. And thank you. Have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So, there you go. I just want to see. All right. That is done. Thank you very much.